So, folks, we're going to get started in just a minute. So we're just letting everybody in, and we are so excited to see you all today. So this is our very special moment. Hi again, my name is Emna Ben Jelili. I'm the director of CAnD3, and today is a very special moment for CAnD3 because we are coming at a point where the fellows are seeing the fruit of their hard labor with CAnD3 come together, come to fruition. I'm really, stretching this metaphor, but we are looking forward to seeing the work that they have produced over a matter of months, not even just weeks, but months. So from the start, the fellows have been contributing, have been learning about data visualization, notably with one of our panelists here, Dr. Tim Elric. And they have continued over the matter of several weeks to refine these visualizations, notably with our CAnD3 staff here. So we first went through an in-depth process of working with the fellows on their visualizations. So shout out to the CAnD3 staff here who have been really instrumental in helping them along. So really want to recognize their hard work here. And also we had another week last week where one of our dragons here, Daniel joined us in this work and provided them with some more feedback. And now we get to the final version of this work. So we're really, really excited to have that be the culmination here of their work. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So how this is going to proceed is we are going to have the fellows, oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I do want to share our thanks and our gratitude for having here the so-called dragons. So they're nice dragons, they're friendly dragons. We're calling this a dragon's den because really what we ask the fellows to do is to prepare a 2-minute presentation of a data visualization that is on the topic of their choice, but is focusing on skills that they learned in their in CAnD3 notably, and is showing the capacity that they have with those skills. So we're really pleased to have our fellows, our panelists here, be able to and essentially the ideas that they are pitching, they're pitching this data story to our panelists here. So first we have Giovanna Badia, who is a data librarian at McGill University and self-professed, I think data geek is fair to say, right? And a lover of all things data visualization. Tim Elric is at the Department of Geography at McGill University and is also a friend of CAnD3 and has been very involved in training the fellows in their data visualizations from the start, from the boot camp in summer. And Danielle Villate is with the PCPO at the Government of Canada and is very much involved in communicating to different audiences, communicating and using design to communicate to different audiences. And Dan has also been involved in training the fellows in integrated policy design. And so that we're really bringing the threads together with this panel today. So our fellows will pitch to these panelists their ideas, their data visualizations, their data stories. And we're going to do this in a rapid fire setting. So all the fellows will be presenting kind of back to back, 2 minutes each with a little bit of a buffer in between. And then we will have a reconvene. So we will send you all on your day, and the panelists and I will have a little bit of a debrief, and we will discuss the decision of who should be crowned the winner of CAnD3 DataVis, and we will announce those winners at the June 12th event. So of course, folks who are already on campus, Giovanna, Tim, I hope you can join us on June 12th. We will have a hybrid event, capstone event of our year together with with a special presentation, a keynote presentation by Anne Martin Matthews on the future of aging. And then we will have, of course, we will announce, we crown the winners, and we have, little prizes for the winners on these data visualizations. But that doesn't stop with this, with June 12, because we will continue to work with all the fellows, the ones who presented today. Yes, Seigi, we're also super excited to see you in Montreal in a couple of weeks, and to host you here. And what I mean to say is that these data visualizations do not stop with our, or this journey does not stop with the June 12th event, or with, indeed with this Dragon's Den, because we will continue to work with the fellows on their data visualization to find ways to promote them and disseminate them. So we of course have our Twitter that we hope you're following, but also we have other cool events and possibilities that we are exploring with the fellows to be able to promote further their work. So notably, there are some journals now that are being very forthcoming in accepting short data viz publications, and we're working with them. We're already trying that out. And we're also working with Canadian Studies in Population, which has generously agreed to consider our data visualizations as part of their potential publication series. I see Joanne is excited. So yes, I think we're all, so what we're talking about, this short data viz, 500 words, a couple of citations. I think it's a great way to disseminate information in bite-sized pieces. And so, yeah, so we're going to work with this. So we're going to get started shortly. I am just setting up some things here. So we will have a poll. I believe I'm going to check with Divine Favor. Nope, you cannot see this poll. Okay, we've been having.
I see it, but I can't edit. So you only can edit.
I'm going to need to move it. So our process is being shaken up a little bit. So I'm going to do my best to keep up. I usually have an amazing staff that I can rely on. So I'm going to have to rely on you all in a different way. So I'm going to manage the polls, and I'm going to ask someone to tell us who is the next speaker, because I cannot do several things at once. So we're going to get started. So I'm just giving folks, panelists, a heads up. So our presenters. So we're starting by alphabetical order. So we're going to start with Tim. And Merita is going to go next, and then Shayla. So just giving you a heads up to get your slides ready and get ready to present. And without further ado, then I would ask Tim and Trinity to get started on this.
Need my screen set up real quick.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. I am Tim Arthur, and I'm presenting on behalf of my colleague Trinity Lakin and I. We're from Florida State Universities. We're doctoral candidates in the sociology program there. Our project assesses racial disparities in marijuana-related arrest using arrest data from the city of Los Angeles, California, between the years of 2010 and 2019. Our primary interest is in finding out whether or not the legalization of recreational cannabis in 2016 helped to narrow racial disparities in arrest. So here in the first chart that we have, you see it depicts the frequency and charge type of marijuana-related arrest among Black, Hispanic, and White Los Angeles. As you can see, arrest rates for all races declined leading up to and then especially after the legalization of recreational cannabis in 2016. However, disparities in the amount and severity of arrest remain. Arrest rates for whites have become so negligible, as you can see by 2019, that it's almost impossible to distinguish between the types of arrest for the chart. However, Black and Hispanic residents have visibly higher frequency of arrest that seem to be rising here in recent years. Additionally, we mapped out our data onto the LAPD precincts to better understand what the spatial distribution looked like. And you can see that the arrest for Black residents on the left is kind of concentrated in the center of the city, while arrest rates for Hispanics are more widespread throughout the city. Unsurprisingly, we found that Hollywood was a major hotspot for arrest of all races. However, within this particular precinct, Black residents were arrested at approximately double the rate of whites and Hispanic residents. So altogether, our findings suggest that legalization alone is not enough to amend racial disparities in marijuana-related arrest, and additional measures should be taken by both city and state governments to ensure that a more equitable future in cannabis use and regulation exists. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tim. That was really very fluid and definitely kept at time. So I have shared with folks a poll. So if you can please share your rating of this presentation, we will be using that. So of course, as I said, we have the the thoughtfulness of our panelists, but we also have those numbers that we can use. So we appreciate that. So next up, Merita will be speaking. So I'm going to allow you time to get started. And I have, I'm going to close the poll in just a second. So I'm ending the poll right now. Thank you, folks, for your voting.
Good morning, everyone. Emily, do you see my slides?
Yes, I do.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Merita. I'm a PhD candidate in sociology at Western Ontario University. COVID-19 has had significant negative consequences for global and Canadian population health, resulting in death and increased stress due to pandemic, economic, and health burdens. In this regard, we aim to examine how COVID-19 has affected substance-related harms in Canada. We use data from the Canadian Institute of Health Information on substance-related hospitalizations, and therefore we compare data from pre-pandemic with pandemic periods to show us the percentage change. The findings of this analysis reveal a substantial increase in hospitalizations due to substance harm during COVID-19, and this percentage increase is 9%. The most significant increase is when we look by type of substances that harms were caused for hospitalization, such as opioid, cannabis, alcohol, and other substances. We see that opioid-related harms have been the most significant, showing a percentage change of 20 as compared to pre-pandemic levels. This finding aligns with the Public Health Agency of Canada that reported 80% increases in opioid toxicity deaths during the pandemic. Furthermore, when we analyzed the specific groups that were of higher risk of opioid-related hospitalizations, we see that men experienced a larger increase in opioid-related harms, with 45% more hospitalizations compared to 5% increase for women. Middle-aged adults also faced a significant burden, with a 46% increase in opioid harm hospitalizations. Lastly, individuals with the lowest income levels and those living in urban areas had the highest odds of hospitalization for opioid harm. To conclude, the COVID-19 pandemic has led to a substantial increase in substance-related harms, primarily driven by opioid-related incidents in Canadian hospitalizations. Vulnerable populations, such as those with low incomes, residing in crowded urban areas, and middle-aged adults facing work insecurities and financial stress during COVID-19, manifested the highest burden of substance harm. These findings call for a reassessment of opioid policies and for an increased attention to support vulnerable populations at risk of substance harm in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Merida, and congratulations on this presentation. You're getting kudos in the chat as well. As you saw, folks, this is a process of continuous improvement, and hence there were some comments last week that have been heated. Well done, Merida.
I have really appreciated the last week comments. It gave me a lot of insights and ideas how to work the data. So I'm very happy you liked it.
Thank you. And I was so, I take in and I forgot to send the poll. So here's the poll. Vote, folks, please, quick. This is, as I said, you don't want to trust. I'm doing my best. Getting things done. Excellent, folks. So we're going to get started, and I think Shayla is next. So please, if you want to prepare your slides, get us going. 22 out
Great.
of 26. So we are, just give me 1 second. I'm gonna
I'm
give
just
a
excited.
second to end the poll. Yes, you should be. You're excited too. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Hold on, I'm gonna, gotta make sure I'm on time and everything. Okay, great. Good morning, Dragons. My name is Shayla Batty. I'm an MA candidate at the University of Saskatchewan. Today, I'm presenting on work I've been doing with Laura Wright and Tim Kang, and we're asking the question, does your parents' education impact your chances of experiencing stable family forms in adulthood? So before we get into the meat and potatoes, we need to know how women are transitioning into partnership and parenthood. To do that, we ran a sequence analysis of an 80s birth cohort of women aged 18 to 30. Sequence analysis takes the trajectories of each respondent and generates clusters of the most common pathways to creating a family. Each line within a cluster represents the pathway being taken by one respondent. So for example, looking at the no family formation cluster, we see that 32% of the sample is largely remaining single and childless throughout 18 to 30, as denoted by the green color, which helps generate this common pathway. So we end with 6 common family formation trajectories. Based on these findings, our next question is if we can predict which path women will take based on the education of their parents. We found that having higher educated parents increases the likelihood of delaying partnership and parenthood into your 30s, which is associated with creating more stable family forms. We then found that having lower educated parents increases the likelihood of being in the marriage with children cluster, which can be precarious if done earlier in the life course. Dragons, research tells us that children with educated mothers are more likely to be educated themselves. These graphs show us that children of educated parents may also be privileged in forming stable families as they grow older, which has significant impacts on the well-being of children and their families. This is just one piece of the ever-growing reality that separates the haves and the have-nots and influences quality of life throughout generations. Thank you.
I love how you grasp the dragon's attention. Thank you, Shayla. So here's the poll. Well done. So we are just getting you ready. Thank you, folks, for participating in the polling so readily. Appreciate it. I see the numbers come up, so we're obviously not sharing them for various reasons. And I see the thunderous applause. So thank you, Emna. You're just getting started. And I'm just going to give 1 more second for people who have been polled to go ahead and end. Okay, Emna, take it away.
So hi, my name is Emna, and I'll be presenting my data visualization results on COVID vaccination rates and partisanship in the USA. So once upon a time, getting a vaccine for a deadly disease was considered a health decision, not a political one. While there always has been hesitancy, COVID-19 vaccine opposition appears different because of deep political underpinnings. This opposition has become more organized and vibrant in recent years with the help of social media, which gave a bigger space to anti-vax movement and to fake news. So we observe in graph 1 that the more one votes for Biden in the 2020 election, the more likely one is to take a vaccine against COVID-19. As for voters for Trump on graph 2, the more you're a Trump voter, the less likely that you'll take the vaccine. So what can easily be seen from this plot is that the higher the percentage of states' population that voted for Biden, the closer they are to full vaccination. There's a clear distinction between states that are more Democratic, which are in blue, and those who are more Republican, which are in red. So we have a color scale that clearly shows this relation with the axis of people who have taken the vaccine. So this result makes sense. Early research found that counties with a higher share of Republican voters tended to have lower perception of the danger of COVID-19, and these perceptions led to riskier behavior. From the beginning, the severity of the pandemic was downplayed by Trump, who tweeted about the link between vaccine and autism. And this kind of statement had an effect. Trump voters were more likely to express vaccine hesitancy and believe conspiracy theory about COVID-19. In conclusion, political division has meant that thousands of lives have been lost because of it. By reducing profound political division and encouraging vaccination by trusted sources such as healthcare, community leaders, and religious leaders, we can help increase vaccine acceptance and address vaccine hesitancy. Thank you.
Thank you, Emna. This was really very, very fluid. And as you can see, folks, there's a range of interest. And I love that, you're coming from public health, you're bringing us political science, and with this very, advanced visualization, very the good visualization. So folks, this is what we can do at CAnD3. So I'm just looking for folks to participate in this poll. Please don't give it up. We want those response rates to stay up. I know we have respondent fatigue, but please, folks want your input. So go at it. And Amber, you're going to come up next if you want to prepare your presentation.
Is it showing up right now?
Not to me. No.
Okay, very cool. Shoot.
There we go. Yeah, harding to
Cool.
see.
Yeah, so my name is Emna Ben Jelili. I'm a master's student at Mount St. Vincent University here in Halifax, and my presentation is on sources of strength, a look at well-being and quality of work-life variables in Nova Scotian long-term care aides. So it's no secret that long-term care staff can face some pretty challenging working conditions. This can have negative implications on the mental health and quality of work life. However, research has shown things like efficacy and resilience can be counteractive and protective forces. So in my data set, we have 3 potentially counteractive variables. We have efficacy, or the ability to accomplish your professional goals. There's resilience, or the ability to bounce back from hardships, and compassion satisfaction, or the inherent gain from providing compassionate care. So I want to see how these variables correlate to other mental health and quality of work-life outcomes. And to do that, I'm using Pearson's R, which is a measure of correlation between two variables on a scale from -1 to 1 with more extreme values, meaning a stronger correlation. So this is the plot. And as you can see on the top row here, we have efficacy, which doesn't really seem to have very strong correlations with much of any of the other variables, which was a surprise to me. In the middle row, we have resilience, which you can see this middle chunk here being well-being variables, like stress, anxiety, and PTSD has the strongest correlations. So more resilience means less stress, less anxiety, less PTSD, and higher overall scores for mental health, with some strong correlations in the quality of work-life variables as well. Whereas in the bottom row here, compassion satisfaction, it finds its strongest correlations over in the quality of work-life variables, highest correlation being a positive correlation with job satisfaction, but also we can see it seems to be a protective factor against things like emotional exhaustion, cynicism, and job burnout. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, as you can see, the breadth and the width, and also very, I just want to shout out your early on in your progress, master's student. That's really exciting to see, so how far you've gone already, Amber. So thank you so much for sharing that research, that very important research into our aging populations, and their caregivers, obviously. So folks, we have our poll up for Amber, so please share that or share your input on that. And next up, we have Mila, who's going to get ready to present. Well done. It's really exciting. I just want to share, personally, that it's really exciting to see you all, to see this all coming together. So I'll just turn it over. Take it away, Mila.
Okay, can you hear me and see my slide?
But we can't hear you super well. I can't hear you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, good. Yeah, if you get closer, it's better.
I think it's my mic. So hello, I'm Kamila Kolpashnikova from York University, and I will talk about housework time among older Canadians. So housework is a significant part of our daily lives and is heavily influenced by gender, even in older age. We can depict the percentage of men and women engaged in housework throughout the day using this graph. The vertical axis represents the time of the day, starting from the morning at the bottom and progressing to the evening at the top. The left graph illustrates the percentage of men involved, while the right graph represents women, and the animation shows changes across different age groups. As individuals grow older, the percentage of both men and women participating in housework increases. Those above 55 tend to do more housework than younger people. Also, a higher proportion of people engage in housework during meal times, and particularly at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. And as people age, more housework happens at lunchtime than dinner time. So this suggests that our housework habits change as we grow older. Most significantly, we can see that a consistently greater proportion of women does housework compared to men, regardless of age. So the gender differences persist in older age. If we look at the gender gap in housework time for older people across provinces, we can see that in general, the gap is narrow in the West with lighter colors and wider in the East, except for the Atlantic provinces. That is to say, for example, that the housework is more gendered in Ontario than in BC. Two provinces stand out, and the largest gender gap in housework is in Saskatchewan, and the narrowest is in Newfoundland and Labrador. One is the exception in the West, and the other is an exception in the East, together with the Nova Scotia. Overall, to this day, housework remains gendered, and it is true among older people as well. More work needs to be done to progress gender equality in housework. Thank you for your attention, and this is all.
Thank you so much, Mila. And as you see, folks, this is all the things, all of this in 2 minutes, which of course is an amazing feat to just distill that much information and pertinent information in 2 minutes and bringing these kinds of visualizations to life for you all today. So we have Mila's poll coming up. It's almost there. And Ala, I'm going to invite you to get ready to share your screen next.
Thank you.
Pretty amazing work, folks. And also, I want to say the chat is just so, you are so amazing with each other. It's lovely to see that community come to life as well. Take it away, Ella.
Thank you, Emily. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ella Konikova, and I'm a postdoctoral fellow in the Department of Sociology in the University of Alberta. And my talk today is focusing on highlighting the importance of using the intersectional lens in studying sex segregation and women in the labor force. So a little bit of the context, two major factors are there to consider. First, despite the significant progress that women made into the labor force over the recent decades, gender gaps persist, and women are still lagging behind their male counterparts in terms of the employment and economic outcomes. But in addition, there is changes in the demographics of the Canadian labor force with the increasing diversity, with large percentage of immigrants and large and growing percentage of immigrants and ethnic minorities. So here I'm presenting some of the data derived from the publicly available Census 2021 that will show the disaggregated view into the employment and economic outcomes of women, first presenting for women overall, then for immigrant women and immigrant women who are identified with the visible minority group. And across all outcomes here, it highlights that there is the diversity among women themselves translate into diversity in their employment and economic outcomes, showing that this disaggregated view is important in highlighting major disparities among women across all the outcomes and highlighting the need of the additional comparisons that should be made while studying sex segregation, that in addition to comparing women to men, there is a growing need to look among women themselves and consider their heterogeneity. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ala. Well, we don't have time for questions right now. Verbally, you are, oops, I'm going to do this. You are more than welcome to engage in the chat. We've had that with a couple of folks here, and thank you. And yes, I echo the, the comments that this presentation is even more improved. Also, folks, I think part of the message here that we're trying to share with CAnD3 is that success doesn't happen overnight. And that progressing towards that goal is a really important kind of workflow element as well to work it in. Not always easy, always, obviously, and I recognize that you're juggling so much, and I want to shout out to that, to folks, just reminding folks that this CAnD3 program is on top of their regular program, regular academic program, and everything else that they have going on, which is amazing. And some of them have internships with some of you partners, so these folks are juggling a lot, and they're coming up with this amazing work. So we just want to give 1 second more for the poll for Ala, please. Step up those numbers, folks. Don't give it up just yet. Almost there. And I'm going to invite Exaucé and Avelin to get ready to present. Et vous présentez Exaucé, Avelin, je crois que est-ce que vous présentez en français?
Oui, on va présenter en français.
Parfait. So we have a translator for you folks who want to join us in the chat, a translator that will allow you to, if you want to connect, will allow you to follow along this upcoming presentation in French. Exaucé, Avelin, je vous invite à présenter votre écran.
Oui.
Et
Vous voyez mon écran?
on voit l'écran, mais la présentation, pas la forme présentatrice. Voilà, excellent. Allez-y.
D'accord. OK, merci. Bonjour et bonsoir bonjour à tout le monde. Je vais présenter ce que Exaucé et moi nous avons fait. Nous sommes tous doctorants à l'Université de Montréal. Nous nous sommes penchés pour ce travail spécifique sur l'égalité de genre et la fécondité dans le contexte des pays développés. Ces pays-là pour la plupart, ont déjà entamé leur troisième ou leur quatrième phase, sont déjà dans leur troisième ou leur quatrième phase de la transition démographique qui se caractérise généralement par une baisse continue, un déclin de la fécondité. Plusieurs théories sont mobilisées pour expliquer ce déclin-là. L'une d'entre elles, l'une des plus célèbres, justement, c'est celle de la théorie de la révolution du genre, qui stipule que la réduction des écarts entre hommes et femmes sera à l'origine justement de la remontée de la fécondité dans ces pays-là pour pouvoir se situer au niveau du seuil de remplacement. Ici, ce que nous voulons tester ici, c'est cette théorie-là de façon sommaire, nous voulons la tester. Nous avons donc mobilisé deux principaux indicateurs de genre, qui sont la proportion de temps consacré au travail domestique et aux soins non rémunérés des hommes et des femmes de façon séparée, de voir si ces deux indicateurs-là sont corrélés au nombre d'enfants par femme. Nous avons utilisé les données de la Banque mondiale Open Data qui sont open source sur Internet. Donc là, nous avons mobilisé ces données-là pour certains pays développés qui sont européens, qui sont généralement classés dans la classe des revenus à revenus élevés. Donc ici, nous constatons pour le premier graphique ici, nous constatons que le nombre d'enfants par femme est corrélé négativement à la proportion de temps consacré au travail domestique pour les femmes. Cette proportion-là, c'est le nombre de travail consacré divisé sur 24 heures. Donc, on constate que la pente là est négative, donc c'est-à-dire la proportion de temps consacré au travail domestique pour les femmes est corrélée négativement au nombre d'enfants par femme. On observe la situation inverse chez les hommes. On constate que plus les hommes s'impliquent dans les tâches domestiques, plus cela a de l'effet à remonter la fécondité. Donc, c'est l'une des mesures peut-être sur lesquelles il faudrait s'appuyer pour relancer la fécondité dans le contexte des pays, des pays développés, c'est-à-dire la réduction des écarts entre hommes et femmes. Merci.
Merci, Avelin. Merci, Exaucé. Donc, I invite you all to rate this presentation on the poll that I've just launched. Comme vous pouvez voir, as you can see, we've had folks who are coming in from very different, well, not that different, but a lot of different backgrounds, looking at some issues, and the preoccupations are always often have to do with equity. And the reason for that is that this is part of a longer process that is looking at, that is embedded in the idea. So inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. So great presentations. Merci beaucoup, Avelin. Merci beaucoup, Exaucé, pour cette présentation.
Merci.
And so next up, we have Segi. So go ahead, Segi, take it away.
Hi, I'm Segi. I'm a PhD student in sociology at the University of Toronto, and I'll be presenting co-authored work on ethno-racial differences in living in unaffordable housing in Canada. So we're in a housing affordability crisis, with prices increasing at a much faster rate than average income over the past 25 years. But not a lot is known about ethno-racial gaps in unaffordable housing in Canada, which is important to study as the federal government seeks data on groups vulnerable to housing issues as they implement their $82 billion national housing strategy. And so we use a sample of adults aged 25 to 54 from the 2016 Canadian census to predict unaffordable housing defined as spending 30% or more of pre-tax household income on housing costs per convention. And we see from Logit models that net of various controls, East Asian, South Asian, and Middle Eastern / North African residents would still have much higher odds of unaffordable housing than white residents. The opposite was true for Black and Southeast Asian residents, though this is contrary to the unadjusted raw percentages not shown here, where they did indeed have higher rates to begin with. Now, Fairley's decomposition allows us to see how much different traits or characteristics contribute to unaffordable housing gaps between two groups. So demographic traits in Black are key determinants of the gaps here, and this is primarily an effect of racial minorities being more likely to be immigrants. Another large factor are geographic contexts in Blue, especially racial minorities' greater propensity to live in large urban areas which also have high housing costs, like Toronto, where I live. Other factors include Black residents' lower rates of employment under socioeconomic factors in yellow, and their higher rates of renting instead of owning their homes under housing type in green. In contrast, East Asians' greater rates of owning their homes actually offers them some protection, which is what the negative percentage of their green bar on the left column signifies. And so these results, I believe, highlight areas that policymakers could focus on, such as increasing housing supply, especially in high-cost urban areas, promoting rent control laws to protect tenants and renters, and reducing structural barriers for racial minorities and immigrants in the labor, housing, and financial markets. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Segi. I'm going to launch this poll, and those, folks, you've been so attentive. It's really nice to see just the whole community of CAnD3 fellows. Some of you, most of you, dragons don't know, haven't seen the process that this went through, but you can get a glimpse of the fact that even between last week and this week, there has been some movement in those presentations and responding to the comments from last year. So last week, it feels like a year. It doesn't. Okay, next up, we have our, super engaging.
Saman.
Yeah, Saman. Thank you, Saman. We have our, I was just saying to Segi, well, put on the policy relevance. I think that was really a good start to say, where are we going with this? Okay, I'm going to stop this poll, and Saman, here you go. Take it away.
Hi, you guys can all see my screen, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So hi, I'm Saman. I'm a master's student in the Department of Geography here at McGill, and I'll be presenting a data visualization on the regional dimension in Canadian innovation. So for a bit of background, innovation has often been credited with stimulating economic growth. And for that reason, it's a pretty big cornerstone in urban and economic policy making that's seeking to stimulate innovation in order to drive growth. However, despite a wealth of innovation literature, it's been focused almost exclusively on cities as sites of knowledge creation, the theory being that, you know, there's high density, there's high diversity, there's lots of exchange of ideas, and they're bastions of creativity. However, this omits a possibly very important regional dimension to knowledge creation that's been almost completely left out of the discussion. And so this is what I was interested in looking into. So for my data visualization, what I did was essentially map innovation across Canadian regions. What I'm using as a proxy for innovation is patent data, which is a commonly used method in the literature. It's easy to quantify. However, it does produce some biases. But as we can see here on the left, this is a map of total patent applications across Canadian census divisions. And we see essentially what we'd expect to see. The largest patenting areas are the biggest cities, including Ottawa and Waterloo, which have well-known tech clusters. And so as you can see, most of the patenting is clustered in that Windsor-Quebec corridor, which is kind of Canada's economic heartland. But when we break down patenting per capita, we actually see that regional, like some very rural regions pop up as some of the highest patenting regions in Canada, which is very interesting. So we see Nord du Quebec, Division 6, Newfoundland, which includes like the Gander region, and Queens, Nova Scotia are the top patenting regions per capita. And so essentially what this does, these results kind of challenge the urban bias that we have in innovation literature that diminishes kind of the talent and creativity outside urban areas, and also calls into question the assumption that cities are absolutely essential to innovation, and kind of lets us know that there is a regional dimension here. So yeah, thank you very much.
Sorry, I jumped the gun on this because I was so excited with your take-home message. I think I love when data can challenge our assumptions like that. And Saman, you do such a great job of illustrating it. It's like, yeah, I think it's just very crystal clear. I love how also those different perspectives, you bring the geography perspective to this and the economic perspective. It really rounds up our vision of what Canada should be. And I agree with Shayla, such a great story. It really works out. Okay, great. So we are getting through this poll. So thank you folks for keeping up your response rates. We're going strong at 80%. Thank you. So I feel like I'm like an auctioneer right now. Can I get more? Can I get more? I love it. Okay, great. So we're gonna go to the next person. You see, I'm not keeping up right now. So
next is Yue.
Yes, thank you, Yue. There's so much action on the chat that I have to like scroll up. So I love it. I love it, folks. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Yue Tian and I'm a PhD student from Western University. Today I'm going to talk about fertility decline since the Great Recession, and I will compare 4 countries. My motivation for this study is because many countries with low fertility rates are still experiencing fertility decline since the Great Recession, and low fertility rates have significant implications for population aging. So in this study, I asked how have the patterns of fertility decline changed across age groups and parity among women since the Great Recession. I did a decomposition analysis using data from human fertility database. And here are the results. All the negative values in those figures means the decrease of certain parities, and all the positive values means the increase of certain parities. In general, we can see that the first birth decline, as shown in the dark blue, has contributed the most to the fertility decline since the Great Recession among all 4 countries. And for the US, the first birth decline has concentrated for teenagers and female age 20 to 25. And for South Korea, the first birth decline has concentrated for female age 25 to 30 years old. And South Korea also have the largest first birth decline for this age group among all 4 countries. And for Canada and Sweden, they have similar patterns. And the first birth decline has concentrated for female age 20 to 30 years old. And there's a slight increase of fertility rates at second birth and above for female among age 35 and above in all 4 countries. However, these increases are too small to compensate for the first birth decline at the younger ages. And the future recovery of fertility rates in all 4 countries depends on the potential increase of the first birth. Thank you.
Thank you, Yue. So we've got the poll launched. You can see, despite the breadth of interest, there are some commonalities. These are population researchers, folks, and we're thinking about our dependency ratios here. So this is going to be something that our societies obviously will have to consider in the future. So lots of threads to pick up at here, and I'm already excited for what we're going to do with these visualizations, working with you all, to promote them on our website, but also beyond. I think the future is indeed very bright. Okay, so we are coming towards the end. So I think Chris is next. Chris Yurris, you're next. So if you want to start sharing your screen. You're muted right now, so I want to unmute you.
Sorry, I'm just getting the right slide.
Yes.
There
Okay.
we go. Is that right?
Yes, perfect. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. So I'm not on the right slide. Oh, yeah, I am. Hi, everyone. So I am doing my presentation on relative confidence in levels of government. So I'm looking at the gap in confidence between the federal and provincial government in Canada, in different regions of Canada, which has been described as the relative trust as this phenomenon. And while this has been discussed in Canadian political science literature, it's tended to focus more so comparing to other countries rather than heterogeneity within Canada. So this gap, again, that I'm going to be talking about is, first of all, I looked at it through regions, without control, so the average score on a scale from -3 to 3. And as you can see here, Quebec has the lowest average score at -0.31, whereas Ontario is the only region with a positive score, which is intuitive considering it is with the most seats in the House of Commons, for instance. Prairies and BC have both negative scores, but not as low as as Quebec. And then also I ran an OLS regression by region and language. And as you can see with controls, the main thing here is there's a clear gap in relative confidence. There's a clear gap in relative confidence scores between Francophones and Anglophones in Quebec. As you can see, so Francophones tend to be on the right, so Francophones tend to have more confidence in the provincial government, whereas Anglophones more confidence in the federal government, which is only the case in Quebec. Interestingly, in Atlantic Canada, the inverse is actually present, with French speakers tending to have a higher relative confidence score in the English, in the federal government, whereas English speakers tend to be more confident in the provincial government. So this is something I'm going to look more into this in terms of linguistic minorities. And then also you can see partisanship. There's a correlation between the party in power. So when the Liberal government's in power, both the NDP and Liberals tend to have a higher relative confidence. And then the inverse is true when the Conservative Party was in power. And then the Bloc Québécois in general has among the lowest relative confidence. And this is with controls. Thank you. Sorry, I went over a little bit.
No worries. I think the story was really clear there, and you did a great job. I think, again, another issue that has arisen with other folks here is the issue of political, polarization and the what that does and how that is overlaid with, with behaviors, but also for different populations. So that's a really interesting outlay, and what you're bringing, the political science perspective that you're bringing is extremely valuable here. Thank you, Chris. And of course, the visualizations, are there. And I note improvement from last week as well. That's great to see. It really ties in well with the story. So folks, we are coming to the end of our rapid fire session. Certainly not by any means last, but definitely not least. Nick Zambroda is going to be presenting this last presentation. So I'm just going to give it a second for Nick to get ready, and also for folks to just finish their presentation response on Chris. One more. I need one more person to get us over the line of the 80%. Please go ahead. Almost done. Oh. Okay. Thank you, folks. And Nick, you can go ahead.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Nicholas Zambrata. I'm a master's student at Columbia University's Quantitative Methods in the Social Sciences program. Today, I'll be telling a story about HIV/AIDS diagnoses in New York City and what's being done to address the issue, as well as discuss areas of improvement. So in this first choropleth map, HIV diagnoses per capita are mapped. Areas like Upper Manhattan, the Bronx, and Queens are hardest hit. And similarly, AIDS diagnoses mirror this pattern as well. Note that the gray areas are LaGuardia Airport and John F. Kennedy Airport. Not coincidentally, HIV/AIDS diagnoses are also highest in areas with large percentages of minority persons. In fact, minority population percent predicts HIV and AIDS diagnoses per capita. So the question becomes what we're doing to address the disproportionate preponderance of HIV/AIDS per capita in high minority populations. Scrolling down, the second map displays relative risk of HIV/AIDS per capita, where the blue dots represent condom distribution locations and the yellow dots represent HIV testing sites. The data suggests that New York City is making preventative measures most available to high-risk, high minority populations. The question becomes how widely known this information is. Our goal should be to make this information widely available. In my neighborhood, West Harlem, the listed areas do not have advertisements on of their services, making access difficult. More specifically, many of these locations are barbershops, bodegas, and community centers. Making this a community level effort may bring about the necessary change to make these disproportionate effects addressed in a more effective manner. And again, my map is interactive. It shows the neighborhood, borough, relative risk, and you can also take a look at the areas as well if you're interested in accessing free condoms or getting HIV tested. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nick. Really appreciate it. And I can also see some improvements. Those spots really pop now with the color scheme that you picked. So that's a really great job. Thank you. So folks, this is it. This is our roundup. So please do not give up. This is our last polling. So go ahead, poll, answer our poll for Nick. The numbers are up. So just to recap a little bit on the next steps. And so now what's going to happen, our panel of judges, dragons, will reconvene in a separate location. So we'll just get you folks on to your day, and thanking you very, very much for joining us. And at the June 12th event, we will release the results of our judges' opinions and also of the polling. So folks, don't give it up. We've got a couple more seconds to go to get that response rate up for Nick. So I've got currently 16 of 23 have participated. I'm going to shame you all into participating, those who haven't, because we can do better than that. Go at it, folks. I don't know if I can't really relaunch this, so I don't want to do this, but if you work through your different windows, you can pull up that window of the polling. And I see, yeah, so I guess there we go, 73. I'm getting there. I will try my auctioneer skills next. 73, what can we say better? Can I get a 18 out of 23? Can I get someone? My team is laughing at me right now. Okay, I'm recorded, so this is all fun stuff for a Wednesday morning. Yes, you can laugh, and we have a blooper reel, that I'm just making happen right now. If I can just get an 18 out of 23, though, I'm gonna let you go. 18. Someone, can I get it? You're leaving me hanging there. There we go. Thank you. We're done. I'm going to leave it up in case someone wants a 19. Your girl can always help. Okay, folks. So thank you so much for joining us, all of you. Thank you so much to the fellows for the hard work that you put in. This was amazing and deserves like a huge round of applause. A real one. I can do it on my own in my office right now, and I've got 19, so I'm also super excited. Maybe I'm going to reach 20. And so thank you so much. You've done such an amazing job over for all these weeks putting into work. And also we have about a handful of fellows whose work hasn't been presented here, but you're going to see come out through the ranks. You know, we're working in different ways with those fellows. There were various reasons why this didn't happen for this particular presentation, but we're super committed to making the work visible in whatever shape or form. So we're really excited to have that be an option for you folks. So we're going to keep at it, keep working with the fellows, and we've had some great feedback. Thank you, Grant, for all the feedback in the chat. I think you've just like maybe made yourself a potential dragon for next year. This is what the back talk on the Teams channel, the CAnD3 Teams channel, is saying right now. So be careful what you wish for, how you engage. We might invite you to be here. So all the folks, thank you. So I'm gonna invite just the dragons to stay. The other folks, we can bid you good day, and thank you for joining us. Congratulations again, fellows, on your presentations, and we will keep the anticipation going as to announcing the winners on June 12th. So take care, everybody. As far as I'm concerned, though, and this is not just right, you're all winners. You did such amazing work in putting in those presentations together. I know my dragons are probably thinking, how are we going to portion between all those great presentations? But this is the hard work that will start in. Okay, so bye, folks. Bye, CAnD3 fellows. And thank you again for those amazing presentations. We're excited for the work that you put in. And we'll be seeing you soon in person.